Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 22nd. My name is Kyler Wilson, and here are your announcements for today. A reminder that the Morris Wear Online clothing store closes this Saturday, October 1st. If you want to show some school pride, then check out the link in this description of this video and get your orders in soon. If you are interested in grade 9 to 12 and are interested in joining this year's yearbook committee, there will be a yearbook meeting in the library today at lunchtime. Please let Mrs. DeKazel, Mr. Moore, or Mrs. Noel know if you'd like to attend. The ERA is proud to announce their fifth kids poster contest, which is on now until December 15th, 2022. We're asking students in elementary, junior high, and high schools across Canada to use their creative minds for a chance to win a free laptop. This competition is designed to have teachers educate students on the importance of sustainability and the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle, and then have their students bring their vision of an ever-changing environment to paper. Check out the Morris blog for more details on how to enter. A reminder that this Friday is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and therefore will be no school as we take the opportunity to reflect on Indigenous culture and history. We would like to show you guys another short video to remind all of us of the importance of this day and what we strive to accomplish with reconciliation.
Kids News explains. What is reconciliation? Let's Google the word reconciliation. Here's what comes up. To reconcile or restore friendly relations. Kind of like when you get into an argument with a friend and they hurt you, but then you make up. In recent years, reconciliation has taken on a new and important role in Canada. Maybe you've heard of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, or the new federal holiday known as the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. But what does it all actually mean? And why do we need reconciliation? Part of reconciliation is recognizing that non-Indigenous people have harmed Indigenous people in Canada for centuries and treated them differently than white people. For some people, reconciliation is the opportunity to heal a broken relationship and to establish a Canada that honors Indigenous people and their contributions. So, where does reconciliation stand now? The current process of reconciliation is often tied to 2 different groups. Number 1, government.
Mr. Speaker, I stand before you today to offer an apology to former students of Indian residential schools. The treatment of children in Indian residential schools is a sad chapter in our history.
That was former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. He made a historic apology in the House of Commons in 2008. So that part of the process of reconciliation is about the government acknowledging something wrong and taking the steps to make it right. But many Indigenous people and their allies say an apology without action isn't enough. Like, if you say sorry to a friend for hurting them without changing your behavior, is it really an apology? Number 2, individuals. The second part of reconciliation is more about individual action. Attempts at reconciliation are happening all around us. Individuals and groups are trying to highlight the past and present unfair treatment of Indigenous people in Canada. Think of it as learning from the past and trying to do better. For example, reading about residential schools. So, when did Canada's reconciliation with Indigenous peoples begin? The process of reconciliation was made official in Canada in 2008. That was when the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was launched as a way to record the effects of residential schools on Indigenous peoples. More than 6 years of work was done by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, also known as the TRC. The chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Senator Murray Sinclair, said,
"Reconciliation is about atonement, it's about making amends, it's about apology, it's about recognizing responsibility."
3 commissioners traveled across the country listening to more than 6,500 witnesses and their families about the negative impacts of residential schools and other mistreatments. The result of all that work was a report that listed 94 recommendations, or calls to action, to help repair the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities and prevent future and ongoing harm. The calls to action are separated into sections like language, health, sport, education, and media. Some examples of a call to action would be, number 7, we call on Canada to work with Indigenous people to make sure that all kids in Canada are getting a fair education and chances for a job. And number 20, we call on Canada to respect the health needs of all Indigenous people, no matter where they live in Canada. Although the federal government has acknowledged the results of the Truth and Reconciliation Report, many of these calls to action have not been addressed. What do we do now? Reconciliation is a long and hard process of making wrongs right. Although not everyone will agree on the exact way of making things better, here are some ways you can make a difference. Number 1, paying attention in history class when your teacher is talking about Canada's treatment of Indigenous peoples. Number 2, remembering and honoring residential school survivors and their families on Orange Shirt Day and beyond. Number 3, reading about Indigenous issues. Number 4, reading all 94 calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation Report. Number 5, speaking up when you see Indigenous peoples being treated unfairly or you hear racist remarks. This has been KN Explains Reconciliation. For CBC Kids News, I'm Isabel DeRoy Olsen. Chimigwech, bye!
More school students will be cutting their own orange ribbons to honor the upcoming day of reconciliation. Classroom teachers are being given small pieces of cloth. Each student can cut a small ribbon from the cloth and tie them along the chain link fence along the south side of the schoolyard. Students will have their opportunity to make and tie their ribbons in designated classes. K to 4 will tie theirs along the first 10 sections of the fence along the playground. 9 to 12 access and alternative classroom students will tie theirs further along the fence along the playground. 5 to 8 will tie their ribbons along the fence of the outdoor classroom, and vocational students will tie theirs along the south side of the parking lot. Everyone who drives by our school will see us honoring the many children who are forced to attend residential schools. Finally, a quick note for all students and staff who sent in funny videos of their pets or anything of the sort. We are going to start a segment this Monday called Monday Mavericks Mashup, in which we will mash together all of the videos and pictures for your enjoyment. If you'd like to be part of our morning announcements or our Morris Mavericks Mashup, send us your photos or videos here at mavericksmedia@rvsd.ca. Those are all your announcements for today. Have a great day, Mavericks.